Thank you, everyone. Got one more story to do for you. It's a little shorter, and it does have a sing-along part. I don't think we need to teach it to you, because I think you'll know it. And you will also know when we get there.
And this will be a great warm-up for the sing-along time that's coming up right after this. So, warm your voices and stick around. All right.
Once there was an old woman who lived alone on her farm with nothing but her horse for company, and that was fine, thank you very much. No one ever quite believed her when she said that. The neighbors were always stopping by, trying to get her to come for coffee, have some pie, get out more. She replied she was fine on her own. Now one night she was out walking the fences at the edge of her property when she saw something glowing in the grass. She picked it up thinking it might be some kind of lost toy from the neighbor's kids, but it wasn't plastic. She couldn't figure out what it was made of. It was kind of a small glowing ball, but it had some kind of a life to it. She couldn't stop looking at it. She took it home and put it on the kitchen shelf and just stared until it was time to go to bed, and then halfway through the night, she found herself getting up, taking it off the shelf and bringing it into her bedroom, for she slept better with the light in the room. It was a fascinating light. She found herself taking it with her everywhere she went, just keeping it in her pocket for chores and eating supper with it and talking to it, and sometimes she would even sing to it.
This little light, folks. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Now she realized one day that she'd been so fascinated with this little light that she was talking and singing to and taking everywhere that she was neglecting her horse. And so she left the light at home and took the horse out for an evening ride. But as they passed one of the neighbors' houses, she heard a child crying upstairs. And then at the next house, there were children crying there too, and there were parents coming to get them, but more children crying, even at the third house, to the point where she wondered, are the measles going around? No, said her horse, who could talk. I didn't tell you that part. They're afraid of the dark, and you have the moon. I have the moon? She said. Yeah, said her horse, that glowing ball you found, it's the moon. No, it's not, she said, the moon's in the sky. Have you seen it in the sky since you found that ball? And the woman realized it had been dark in the sky for 3 weeks. I have the moon? That's not right, she said. We have to put it back. And they ran right home and took the moon off the kitchen shelf and then walked outside and threw it into the sky and watched it sail up and up and up and then drop right back down at her feet. Maybe overhand? She screwed up her best throwing arm and threw that moon high up into the sky and watched it sail up and up and up and then drop right back down where it left. Maybe a running start. She walked down to the bottom of the hill, the moon in her hand, and then ran up the hill, and at the top of the hill she threw that moon as high as she could up into the sky and watched it disappear into the clouds and then drop right back down. It won't stick, she said. Do I need some kind of glue? I think, said her horse, that the moon is too sympathetic to a fellow loner like you to leave before you're ready to let it go. And the old woman realized that she wasn't ready to let it go. She loved having the moon with her, and she couldn't be without it. But she needed to get ready to let it go. It wasn't right for one person to have the whole moon to themselves. And so she tried leaving it at home and not talking to it and not singing to it. But the more she was away from it, the more she worried about it and thought about it, and it just wasn't working. Finally, she went to her horse and she said, I can't do it. I can't give up the moon. But I know that I have to. I know it's not right for me to have the moon all to myself. What do I do? Bring it here, said her horse. And so she got the moon and brought it into the stable. Put it at my feet, said her horse, and she put it carefully down. Stand back, said her horse. And the old woman stood back and watched as the horse kicked the moon hard against the stable It'll grow back, said her horse. It always does. That little piece is for you to keep. And she looked at that little glowing sliver of moon and realized that it was enough. It had that life. And so she put that little piece in her pocket and walked out with the rest of the moon and just let it go. And watched it drift up into the sky all on its own and settle there among the stars. And a sigh came up around the world. But that little sliver of moon that she kept, she didn't keep in her pocket or on the kitchen shelf. She hung it over her front door like a porch light. And that was the moon's way of making sure she was never lonely again. For there it shone as an invitation to friends and strangers day and night, and people started coming by. And often she'd have everyone over on a Saturday night, and they'd sit around the kitchen table, and they'd drink coffee, and they'd laugh, and they'd sing.